So here are some titles I've worked on. Star Wars Force Unleashed on the Wii and PS2 versions. Puzzle Quest 2. Box Office Smash Seen It. Gaelic Football. AFL Premiership 2005 and also a little bit of 2006. Spyro A New Beginning. Spyro Eternal Night. Viva Pinata Party Animals. Hellboy The Science of Evil, which is... Puzzle Chronicles, Star Wars The Clone Wars, Lightsaber Duels. So where did I begin? I actually am a high school dropout, so I left school in year 9. And basically I spent the next couple of years programming in my own time. And I started out doing like MUDs. And basically MUD is like World of Warcraft, except for it's just with text. So you get this like window and you connect it up and you type stuff. It's like got thousands of people online and you go off and do quests and all that sort of stuff. So it's basically like World of Warcraft. And then basically I spent the next couple of years just programming, making my own games and, making 3D games, 2D games, whatever I had my hands on, a whole heap of books. It's not working. And stuff like that. But what happened, I just put my resume in every day, well not every day, but every couple of weeks into different companies with my source code and all my, and what ended up happening was I got a call from one day from a company in Adelaide called Ratbag, and they said, would you like to fly over and come and meet us? So they said, I said, yeah, sure, I'd love to come over, and they flew me over, and in the interview, they basically chucked me in with like 10 other people and just basically drilled me for the entire interview. And that was kind of interesting. And they asked me, oh, what did I do in this game? What did I do in this game? And then eventually what they did was they got me out for lunch. And basically that's when the real interview started, because I started asking about what would I do in this sort of scenario. But because it was all relaxed, they got to know me more as a person and stuff. So I thought that was one of the best interviews I've ever had. But some of the stuff that I worked on there was all the development tools. So basically allowed them to create massive worlds. And basically the designers could go in and make kilometre by kilometre terrains. And the game we were working on was called Soldier of Fortune game. So it basically allowed all the guys to, raise the terrain, lower the terrain, and put objects in, change all the properties. And it was pretty cool, and the other cool thing that I had in the game was thousands of trees, and from one side to the other, it took about half an hour to an hour just to walk from one side of the game world to the other. But the reality is, they went out of business. They went bankrupt they got bought out by Midway in 2005, and they were shut down in the Christmas just before in 2005. So. Unfortunately, if you're going to work in the games industry, it's going to be pretty volatile. You might not have your job in a couple of years, and you just got to keep going. So, it kind of sucked losing your job. But it's just what happened. So, and then, let's see, sorry. The next company I work for is a company called Transmission Games. And they were originally called IO Gurus, and the reason why they were called IO Gurus originally was they bought an off-the-shelf company. It stands for Industrial Relation Gurus. They never liked the name very much, and they essentially changed their name later on to Transmission. And what I remember there is a lot of long hours, because they essentially exploited their workers because they, I remember working 48 hours in a row on the AFL titles, and morale was quite low in that game as well. So the point is, sometimes you get bad companies that just want to exploit you in the games industry because they want to use your keenness. But there's a lot of good companies as well, and I've been lucky after Transmission to get 2 or 3 good companies that just look after you quite well. And the next company I worked for was Chrome, and they were really awesome because I worked there on the engine team, and engine is basically the technology team. So we worked on Xbox 360 and PS3 around about 2 years before the 360 ever came out. And when you're working on the 360 and PS3, and you're basically working with the dev kits, And a dev kit allows you to program on the 360 or PS3. So what happens is the programmer sits down and he types out his code, and then he can actually run the code onto a screen, and he can actually debug it, and he can actually run a whole heap of cool games and stuff. And I'm not doing very well. So. But engine programmers have to be the most geeky guys. You tend to find a lot of people that are kind of like guys from the IT crowd, and also probably Big Bang Factor. You kind of see all those archetypes in there. I mean, I've experienced people like Sheldon and Leonard from Big Bang Factory all the way through my working life. So, but one thing that happened quite interesting, one thing that you usually find in almost every games company is there's a mail list that you send around fun emails of and Photoshops. And I've been a victim of quite a few Photoshops in my time. One good example is I bought my first car when I was working for Chrome. And they have this horrible car park where you can basically scratch your car wherever, you bang it against walls, because you basically got to navigate this car out of this. It's probably making some game because you've got to navigate it out. And what ended up happening was my car became the victim of a whole photoshopping. And I had sort of what examples was I had my car on a pit stop and all that sort of stuff. Ray, where are you? Just asking for, can we have a go of Viva Pinata now? Sorry. Maybe you guys can ask all the questions while this is playing, and that might help you guys out.
I wonder which pinatas will enter the race today.
You've got taste.
Sorry guys, this is like my first public presentation ever, so I'm not really that great yet. So hopefully you guys can just ask me a whole heap of questions now, and I can just answer them. So that guy down the back, if we can get a... Yes, I am. You aware that I'm not very good at this? That's cool.
Très bien! Welcome to another wonderful episode of Viva Pinata Party.
I ran about 15. And it took about 3 years to get into the industry, so it took a long time. What about some other questions? Someone down here somewhere? Anyone else got some questions?
Is this a crazy turn of events, folks?
I dropped out of high school because parents divorced and I couldn't be bummed going to high school anymore. So I pretty much wanted to get in games and program. Pretty damn hard. You gotta basically spend all your spare time just making games and stuff. And it helps to do it when you're a kid as well, because you got all the enthusiasm, so it's pretty cool when you build that age.
Hey, thanks for letting me through.
It's kind of different. It is definitely a community-based type of environment, but there's a lot of technical programming going on, so you have to program very dynamically.
There's something with some guy.
So yeah, basically just programming helps you, and having the samples there really does help. When I was working for Transmission, they were delaying pays by up to 2 or 3 weeks because they were struggling to get payments in from the publishers because they were behind on their milestones. So it's horrible in terms of that. If your company's not doing well, they'll tend to, they have no choice but not to pay you correctly. So, anyone else?
Yeah. You take that up there and give directions.
Just press start, player 4.